Okay, so tell me a little bit about the Asperger Autism Network and how it all came about.
Sure. So AE was founded back in 1996, so it's 27 years old. And basically, it was a group of parents and adults and professionals who all felt like there weren't really services for this population. And so they got together and held a conference and then said, do people want to, what else do we need? And AE was born that way, but really from its beginning, AE, one of the things that really drew me to AE was the mixture of family members, autistic adults, and neurodivergent adults, and teens and professionals all working together to provide services and supports and community for the folks who want to come to us. So AE, we're based in the Boston area and we serve folks across the United States. We basically, our services fall into three main buckets or categories of service. Or I can just be more general and then I'll get into the services. But people come to us, I would say the big reason people come to us is because they're feeling isolated or like they've never met another person like themselves. And so they find us online and they often say it's the first place they feel like people really got them and understood what their life was like. So we serve autistic adults, autistic teens, family members of autistic individuals of any age, and professionals. So I'll stop there, Laszlo. And I guess the one thing I'd add, I think people tell us that all the time, but also that was my experience as a parent. I have a 27-year-old autistic trans daughter, and I came to AE when she was very young, looking for community and looking for other parents who understood and looking to see what autistic folks in the community, what their lives were like, to think of a future for her. And it was really, I talked to someone on the phone and I felt like, oh my gosh, this is my heart and my home forever. And I just wanted to support the organization any way I could after that time.
Mm-hmm. So my next question is, what services do you provide at your organization?
Yeah, so at AE, I was starting to get into this, and I thought, oh, let me hold off on that. At AE, there are basically three types of buckets of services. So I think the first one is it's very individualized. So there's no one size fits all. People can call us or email us, and it's all on our website, aene.org, the contact us section. And someone will email or call them back answering their specific question, helping them understand what AE can offer them, as well as just understanding autism. Lots of adults call or email us and say, I think I might be autistic. How do I find out? Do I need a diagnosis? So we do a lot of those types of calls. We also have coaching for parents, for neurodiverse couples or partners, and for adults and teens. So if you'd like someone to help you kind of think through what's going on in your life or goals you have for yourself, a coach who really understands autism and being autistic can help with that, or being a parent of someone who's autistic. So it's those individuals. And then we have case management services, which basically are about how to help autistic adults live as independently as they would like to. And so we have a service that helps with that as well. Then the second kind of bucket of service is group services, support groups, social groups, interest-based groups. The biggest issue often that people come to us, or one of the biggest issues, is isolation and feeling lonely and not feeling connected. So we run a number of groups online that people can access from anywhere, and they get to meet other people like themselves, often for the first time. And so there, we do a lot of groups for autistic women, for the LGBTQ plus community, because we know that like transgender folks, for example, are 3 to 6 times more likely to be autistic. And so we have a lot of groups supporting teens and adults and family members. And then we have interest-based groups. So we have groups, book clubs and hiking groups, and science and technology groups, and a writer's workshop. So we have all different kinds of groups based on people's interests, movies, you name it, we probably have it, games nights, all those things. And then the third bucket is really education and training. We do a lot of, training out in the community. There's a lot of overlap with mental health and autism. And so we do a lot of training of mental health professionals about how to work well with autistic clients. We also work with schools. We also work with businesses and corporations who have neurodiversity hiring initiatives and want to create a neurodiverse workforce. And so we'll work with them to really understand what that would look like in practice and how to fully support autistic folks and other neurodivergent folks in the workplace, not just in hiring, but in really maintaining employment and being truly inclusive. So I think those are the 3 big buckets, I would say.
My next question is, and I know you kind of leaned into it, was like, what kind of stakeholders you partner with closely?
Yeah. Well, I would say that one of the things I've always really liked about it is that taking people's feedback is really important to us. We like to be super responsive to folks. So we have about, I would say on average, about 500 to 600 folks contacting us every month. So we learn a lot about what people are looking for. We also, get feedback on our groups after every group ends or workshop or anything like that ends. We ask folks what was helpful, what wasn't helpful, what they'd like to see. So I think we get a lot of feedback from autistic adults, family members of autistic individuals of any age, and professionals. So it's really important to us to get that feedback. And then all those folks, our board, our staff, our committees, we have autistic individuals on those, as well as family members and professionals. So that collaboration among all those different perspectives really informs what direction we go
in. My next question is, what impact does the organization have on the disability community? You talked a little bit about, oftentimes, parents don't often, or people with disabilities don't often know who to turn to, so like, how does like AANE basically establish that networking and that connection for those individuals who they are like there for the first time and don't know who to turn to? So if you could talk a bit about that.
Sure. It's a great question. So I think it's one of the strongest things we do. We have a lot of different ways for people to connect with each other through like group drop-in groups that you can just try one, and you don't have to commit to like a series of sessions of a group or anything. And so a lot of times people will come to a workshop or like just, I want to understand autism better. So they come to one of our introductory workshops, or they join one of the drop-in kind of open groups, and they listen a lot the first time, and sometimes they share, and they feel much more connected. And they tell us, we hear this all the time, you're the first place that kind of got me. And the other thing that happens is people sign up for things over and over again. So they feel like they're finding other folks who get them, who understand them. They're finding the information they need. They're getting either the support through coaching or that individualized one-on-one conversations with us. And I think, the impact that we hear is people, they say, yes, I would absolutely recommend AAE. Yes, I would come back and do something else. So we do surveys and we ask for feedback a lot, which I think helps. So we get a lot of that. I think the other piece is when we do get feedback where people say, I'd love to see this, or if something didn't work well for them, that's just as important. Like, it's great to hear when things go well. We hear a lot of that, and that people feel like AE&E can be a life-changing place for them. That's great. That tells us we're on the right track. And there are those people for whom, maybe they didn't have a good experience the first time, or maybe they tried to reach out and they didn't get what they needed. And so we want to hear from those people too, so we can continue to improve and better understand where we might have fallen short, and help them get what they need, if it's from AE&E, or if we can help them get what they need from another place, we're happy to do that too.
Mm-hmm. My last question is, how do you sort of combat the stigma of disability and ableism from your perspective as an organization? Because I've heard lots of stories where currently our society, the system has not been adequately built for people with disabilities. So I'm wondering what your take is on that as an organization.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right. Things are not set up from a disability lens or lived experience, and so I think for years and years, the expectation was really the person themselves needs to change to fit into the world around them, more the medical model of disability. And I think at AE&E, we really focus on the social model of disability, that, the world is not set up for disabled people or autistic people. It's set up, and the expectations are around people who aren't autistic and aren't disabled. So a lot of that is helping people, autistic folks, disabled folks, know, like, helping them feel confident in advocating. I think that's a big piece. And we do a lot of, in our trainings, we have a lot of autistic individuals and neurodivergent individuals at those trainings talking about what it's like for them to be autistic or disabled in a world that isn't set up for them. And I think it's really illuminating to people who have never thought about that, who have never had to think about it. And they just don't even realize they have this perspective and mindset that is ableist, because they've just never thought about it that way. And so a lot of it is just helping people see how the world is set up and how it could be different. And I think that's really powerful when that perspective gets expanded. And then I think it's a lot of education. We do a lot of training with organizations and corporations and schools about, again, the social model of disability. The locus is on the difficulty comes from the environment and how things are set up. And if we can create environments that are really inclusive for autistic folks and disabled folks, then, we can have environments where we don't have all this ableist thinking surrounding everything. So for instance, like at our office, people can work 100 because we know it's better if people can take breaks and don't have to be in one space with lots of noise. And There are really simple things you can do, like noise canceling headphones and allowing that, not making people sit and stay still for those who need to get up and move around and can do that. Or we just did our annual meeting. We had a panel of our staff talk about autistic joy. And that's an example of really understanding and thinking about disability and thinking about autism. That's our area of focus, of disability as a culture, and understanding just like we have to be culturally competent regardless of who we're working with, and understand other people's culture and have folks on staff with lived experience and all of that. Autism and disability has a culture too. And really to just bring that way of thinking out more, I think it's really we got a lot of comments after that saying, wow, I'd never thought about it like that. And that's really good. That's a step forward.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.